Welcome back to Project Smoke number 5. Let's go over what I did, what we talked about last time, and the progress I've made so far on this. First of all, let's start with this 2-inch temperature gauge here. It goes up to 475 degrees, and it indicates when you're at smoke and when you're at barbecue, and that's just plain grilling. I drilled a 3/8 hole for this side here. I started off with my smallest bit and I just worked my way up to 3/8, and it drills in pretty easily. Comes with a nut and a washer. All you need is a crescent wrench to tighten it up. It's a 2-inch temperature gauge. I got it on eBay. They're fairly cheap if you buy them in a lot. They come in a lot of 2 or 10, or depending on the seller. You can also get them at your barbecue store. Next thing is my firebox here. I got a 5-gallon tank. It's 20 pounds. I'm going to stress again, careful when you're cutting into any kind of tank, and do your research on how to purge them. I marked out the door for it. Same exact process and steps I'm taking as a smoke chamber. Just repeat them all over again. Stripped off all the paint. Got the door marked out. And I'm going to go ahead and be cutting that out and repeating the process as far as trim, as far as hinges. Everything's the same. It's just a smaller box, that's all it is. Everything's going to be working out the same way. As you can see now, it's on legs. I went ahead and welded some legs on. I cut 4 pieces of 31 inches. And the way I decided I wanted to do my legs was I decided on width. First of all, I cut myself a piece of 9-inch. So I wanted 9-inch inside to inside. Welded it on, put my level on here on this side. Make sure it's plumb and level. And then went ahead, cut my 31-inch pieces. And what I did was I used 45 cuts, 45 and a 45. And it worked out great. Just welded them on, plumb and square. Went ahead and went on to my other side, same thing, welded it on, cut them plumb and square, and went to town. I went about 15 inches down, halfway, and I put a brace down there. This time I flipped my angle around the other way, so if I opted to, I could put a tray down here, and it'll just come on and off. You can store your charcoal and wood or whatnot in there. So the top half, it's pointing the other way up. This side is pointing flat down, and it's all 1-inch by 1/8 inch angle iron. I want to go over my shelves, counters I'm going to be building on this thing. What I want to do is I measure from here and from here, and you want to just go center third. So I got 2 feet end to end, so I'll go 8-inch, that'll be my first counter, and I'll go 8-inch, and that'll be my first counter. You could also go all the way across for a counter. You know, either way you want to go. You could go on a triangle, 45 counters. Just get creative and just do what you want. This is the material I'll be using for the counter. There's 2 ways you can do it that I know of, that I do at least. You could use anything you like as a counter, as long as it's weldable. Weld it on there. Take a piece of 1-inch square tubing, and just like we did our drill, just frame yourself a square, and you just weld on your expanded metal mesh or a solid piece of steel, just whatever. Or I use 1-inch by 1/8 angle iron. I'll cut my piece out the way I want. The way I cut them is I make sure that when I cut from end to end. That way I'm not halfway and there's no sharp edges, so it's just a clean cut all the way around. So take your measurement, weld it on your frame, build yourself your frame, square and plumb. Put your screen on there, your mesh, weld it on. You flip it over, and it'll be hidden like that. You just weld yourself some braces in between, kind of like I did right here. I welded on 1 by 1/8 angle on 45s, and you see how I just cut my mesh to fit inside, and I just put braces all along it. This is a solid one. I did all the way across. So it's hidden, you won't get cut, or there's no jagged edges on it from this expanded metal mesh. Another example is, like we talked about, going over the top. This is 1 by 1/8 square tubing. Framed it into a square all the way across, and I just placed the expanded metal mesh right above it. Same thing, put braces in between for sagging. It's solid on there, it won't move. Weld it over the top every 6 inches. For this firebox, what I want to use to connect it is a 2 by 3 by 1/8 rectangle tubing. This is it right here. You could use 3 or you could use solid 2 2.5, 3 whatever. This is 2.5 by 2 by 3 tubing here that I'll be using to determine my height there on this firebox. I'm gonna go ahead and build my door out and frame it in so when I open it, I know it's gonna clear my smoke chamber. So that's how I'll know my distance, how far out. I want to try to keep it as close as possible, just enough to clear that door opening. And I'm going to get ready also to do my smokestacks. I decided to do my smokestacks on this side here, on the opposite end, to make it sort of like a reverse flow. I'll be coming out with my smokestacks about this high here, just above the racks inside, just above the tray. So roughly about this high here. I'll do it on center as well, just to keep everything uniform. Do it on center, use a smokestack. I decided I'm going to use 1 by 1/8 square tubing. There's different ways to do this. You could come out on a 45, straighten back out, just like that. Do 90-degree angles. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use 2. I haven't seen this before, so I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot. Instead of using a solid piece of 1.5 or 3 tubing, I'm just going to use 2, weld them together, and come out as dual stacks. See how that turns out. It'll look like that with another piece coming up as well, welded on. You could use a piece of this if you like. Use a pipe, 1.5, 2 weldable pipe, black pipe, galvanized. I recommend you use black pipe. So there it is. We're getting closer and closer. Next video I'll show you what I did with these smokestacks, and we'll go over the counters, and we'll go over the firebox as well. Thanks for watching.